So today we're going to be talking about CIPer 30s, basically getting the startup done. Um, I was planning on showing you everything from pulling it straight out the box, but the one that I was going to show everybody, I kind of broke it this morning. So that's actually going to be another that we're going to have in about 2 weeks that I will show you what happens if you do the upgrade and then you're no longer able to get to the controller, how you would go about fixing that. One of the things you have to take into account with the CIPer 30s, they are JASES with IO parts on it. They come preloaded with Niagara 4.7, and there is a station that's already preloaded into the controller as well. These are considered as Niagara Edge devices, so you are limited on the amount of parts. For the CIPer 30s, you're limited to 150 parts per the controller, and that's including adding any IO modules to it as well. If you're sharing stuff out backnet wise, those parts does not count against any of your physical parts that you have for the controller as well. On the controller, you also have 4 gigabit, a 4-port gigabit switch that can be used for roughly anything from cameras, security, card readers, web clocks, anything. It's just basically a regular switch. As of right now, you cannot upgrade the CIPer 30s to Niagara 4.9. There is an issue with that. So Honeywell is basically not saying they don't recommend it, but they're telling you not to upgrade the CIPer 30s or the CIPer 50s to 4.9 just yet until they come up with a fix for that, which I'm hearing should be pretty soon that should be released. IP-wise, it comes with a default IP address of 192.168.1.160 is the default IP address, and the default credentials for it is Honeywell and Webs. So when you first get it out the box and you plug into it, it will come up and ask you for the username and password. I've already changed mine. But when you put in Honeywell Webs and you hit OK, it will come up with another box telling you that you need to change the default credentials. There is no way around that. So you will have to at that point in time, go in, add a new username, add a new password, and it's also going to make you change passphrase as well. If you hit cancel, it will knock you back out of the platform. From here, it looks just like once you get into it, it's basically your regular Niagara setup. Under here for platform administration, you will, this one has been upgraded to 4.8, but here it will be 4.7 when you first pull it directly out the box. Like I said, it does come with a station. This one is a default station that I left in the controller. So you will have to get into the platform and you will have to start this up. Initially, it was told that you should be able to pull it right out of the box and go to start programming it. but for some reason they forgot to hit the auto start when they put this station in there, so the station will not be running. So you would have to actually go in your first run. You can also create your own station. You don't have to use the station that they have there. So new stations can be built offline. Um, Let me let this go through. So your station file for this controller is basically just a single controller. So if you have three air handling units, you're not going to be able to put, unless you're using expansion modules for that one config log file, to get all three air handling units on one controller. But if you're using one controller per air handling unit, that config log is that only.
Hey, Demond, your microphone's going in and out.
And I did the thing that I always do wrong. I actually hit software instead of doing station copy. So this is your station here. If you're gonna replace it, I would recommend you making at least a copy of that station. That way you have one if something goes wrong and you need to quickly do something, you have the original station that you can put back in that controller.
Hey, Demond?
Yes.
Your microphone, you're kind of going real quiet and coming back in. So I don't know if you're moving around away from it.
Okay. Here's
I have
a
a quick,
yeah.
sorry, I have a quick question on that copier. So if you copy that station over, say you had points assigned to it and then your controller died, would that be a backup for that? If you put the new controller in, could you transfer that data back to that other controller?
Yeah, so yeah, if you have a station and you copied it, it's basically the same features as you're doing a Jace at this point in time. So if you had a copy of it, the controller died or fell for any reason, when you start the new one up, you can come back to here, the station copy, and push that old station back into it. So like right here is one that I was kind of messing around with. So I can take this at this time and just do copy. It's gonna tell you that it can only do one station at a time. And it's gonna ask you if you want to delete this one. I can go ahead and hit next and then say copy all files, hit next, and then make sure your auto start is checked. And then it'll go through the process of copying all your files over.
Okay.
So for the initial station that's on there as well, username password again, it's going to be Honeywell Webs. If you're using their default station, if you and it will force you to change that username and password as well. Once this is finished, I go back in there and I'll go back and add that other station back in and show you changing that username and password. Did I lose you guys?
Nope.
Still here.
I have a question regarding what you were saying about licensing at the beginning.
Yes.
You indicated that the Space CIPer comes with a 150-point license.
Yes.
I was under the impression that every expansion module gave you additional 50 points up to 300. Is that your understanding as well?
Only on the unitary. The VAV ones are locked. The license cannot be expanded for the VAV controller. So even though you can use the IO modules, the expansion modules on there, you're still limited to the 150.
Okay, but the unitary CIPer does go up to that.
Yeah, you
additional
can
points.
And you can go up to points on it.
Perfect, thank you.
And I also found out that they're actually going to keep the two separate controllers. I know in the beginning they were talking about just making the one controller and just having a license difference. That way you can get the airflow ports on both the unitary and the VAV. But as of now, they look like they're going to keep the two controllers. So inside your station, this is basically how it would look. If you're using the default station, you have just the Niagara network and the IPC network. The IPC network is basically the Internet Protocol Controller Network. And that's where all of your programming and everything would be set up from here. And it's basically up underneath this local device right here, which is actually the controller itself. Your services are pretty much the same. Services is pretty much the same as base, workbench, everything. Like I said, it's a full Niagara workbench. So coming back to platform, I'm gonna go ahead and load that station back in, and I can show you the Honeywell deal. Now, once you have the station in, you saw me, it took a while for that station to start up. That's on the initial deal. It starts up a lot quicker out in the field. And like I said, the other controller I was going to take everybody through. The issue with that is when you're doing the upgrades from the 4.7 to 4.8, sometimes you get the issue where 4.8 is where they're really starting to have manufacturers or the folks that create their own modules, you have to have a signature file to go with it. And some of Honeywell's files have the signature file, some of them don't. Sometimes when you do the upgrade, those signature files don't always go in. So you have to basically, at that point in time, either go through and do the entire upgrade, tell you everything is successful. You give it about 2-3 minutes. If the platform should have been started back up. But when you try to access it, it won't allow you to access it either on the secure side or the non-secure side. So if you get one of those, they consider that as the controller is bricked, but you can still serial shell into it and use your platform credentials to get into it. Once you're in there, you can, and I'll show you guys all of this when we do it. You can, the controller itself will tell you what's wrong. And then you basically have to go in there and manually put those files in. So I'll be taking you through that whole process. And that's one of the biggest issues with the 4.9 as well, is that not only did Tritium get rid of the 32-bit version of it, but they basically changed the security on those modules as well, where they're requiring pretty much all of your modules to be signed. And with the CIPer 30s, if that module, those signed modules is not there, it won't allow the platform to restore. The cool thing about the CIPer 30s is, like I say, they are considered as JACEs. So you can actually program the entire thing with kit control, or you can use its own tools, which is the IPC programming tools, which is basically just a revamp of the spider tools that you have. And also, if you have programs that are already written using the existing classic spiders, they have a migration wizard that you can actually take one of those controllers and then do the migration, and it will actually create that new bog file for you. So if you actually take an entire station and run it through that migration, is actually gonna, and say that you have 5 air handling units in there, is gonna basically separate all 5 of those air handling units into individual stations. All right, so I changed this one as well. So, like I say, typically when you first start the station up, it's gonna say username is either gonna be Honeywell Webs or it's gonna be admin Honeywell, and then it's gonna, before it lets you into the station, it's gonna make you change that username and password, and then after that, it'll let you into the station. So, and then you, like I say, you get this under drivers, you get the Niagara network and the IPC network. And then under local devices, and then parts here, is where you're gonna basically do all your programming and everything. So that's another thing. When you're doing programming with this controller, everything is all live programming. There is no downloading or anything like that. The only downloading that you will have is going to be for any of the TR sensors, silk sensors, basically your TR 40s, 42s, 70s, 71, and the 120s. You have to download that part of the program into those thermostats. As far as everything else, it's all, you're basically going to have it all as this. So going to tools here, you're going to see this spider to IPC migration tool. I can come here and I can select any one of these. So you have different options. So here's all my stations that I have. And then here I can go to this, and I don't have it set up, but the library is for your Spider library or the Honeywell library that they have on the building forums. So you can convert all of those as well to be used with this. But if I just do station and I select, let's see. Let's pick this one. And then just hit the migrate button. This one will be strange. I want to see how it's going to come out because this program, this station actually had a CIPer 50 with IO programming in it, and it also had fan core units as well. I meant the VAV controllers as well. So here's everything. It said it was successful. And so I can hit OK. Close this. Now, if I go back up to my files here and then go to my file system, go here to users, my computer name, and then I'm looking at Niagara 4.8, webs, and then stations. It's going to create a folder called migrated stations. And then up underneath that folder, here is that station. And here's all the existing BOG files that was up underneath that BACnet network. And then if I take one of these, expand that, here's that IPC network. And then here's the local device. Here's, I said it needed expansion IO. It added that in there. And then I can come here. Here's the folder. Here's the VAV program. And so everything is there. So it actually converts everything over for you to use. Now, if you want one of these to be downloaded, you will have to take this these folders here because, like I said, it's gonna just take, and it's basically just going to add a bunch of bog files here, and then you can only do one bog file. Anyone have any questions? So when you come into here and you want to look for your migrated files, it won't see it in your list here. And that's because of how that folder is. So if I clicked here, came here to migrated stations, and under here, let's see, I don't remember how to get to those. There's one I did. Here's the text file for this station. Just trying to remember how to get this station moved over for you. So, this one I have to go back and check on. I'm not really sure. I can remember exactly the last step to get that station back over. But down here in your tools right here, you have where you can, if you're creating a new station, you can add that IPC network. Here's your expansion modules that you would add. Port configuration is basically for your Ethernet ports on your device there. You can actually set those up separately. The containers are basically the two files here. The one that says sequence control program, you can only use the IPC programming tools for that one. I can't add anything from kit control into it. You're gonna, and I forgot to add it, but you're gonna get an error saying that you can only put it kit control up under this, or I can use Honeywell's central line devices. So even if I tried to put one of those in there, I'm gonna get an error. So if you do anybody have any questions about process, adding the station, deleting the station, or anything like that? All right, so if nobody has anything, I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. Next week.